Hey guys, welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. We have a lot of tomatoes that we need to quickly process through. So I've decided to take you along as I make homemade vegetable soup. So good morning guys. So I'm not necessarily just making homemade vegetable soup, and I'll tell you there's a few little cheats up in this. No shame in this game, but we're gonna be canning it. This is probably one of the easiest things that you can throw together to can for a yummy treat later on when the weather's really cold and to have, you know, on the pantry shelf. So we're making vegetable soup. We are going to be using our homemade and homegrown and some fresh items, but we're also going to be adding a few things that we've gotten from some folks that we know and frozen items as well. But the point is we're learning how to put things together. We're going to be pressure canning this soup, and we're going to have some feasts on the shelf. Come along. Okay, so the real jam about this is that I have a lot of tomatoes that need to, if they're not done by today, they're gonna have to go to the chickens. A few of them are still pretty good, but some of them are starting to look a little, you know what I'm saying, could get a little funky town. So the chickens may get a couple of treats later, but I gotta move. So vegetable soup is a good one to do with this. So my base of my soup is gonna be tomatoes. Now, there's different ways to cook down your tomatoes and to do all of these things, but I'm cooking it in a soup, so this is the route that I'm going to go. I am simply taking out the cores, and I'm simply taking chopping them up a little bit, and I'm putting them in my Vitamix, and I'm making the base of my soup. Oh, yes, I am, girl. I'm not blanching and peeling them, although I love to do that because when I've done that here the past week or so, all of my tomatoes, those are all of my peels to put into recipes later. You can also put them in a roaster and roast it down. But I don't have time for that today because I want to move faster than that. So the Vitamix is working for me. Now, what else am I doing? Okay, I have taken one of my onions that we grew this year, chopped it up. You can do it finer than that, whatever you want to do. I also have fresh chopped garlic. I'm going to put these together for a few minutes, kind of get them going. Get them seasoning together. That is going to become part of the base for my vegetable soup in with my my base of tomato. Okay, that's what I'm choosing. I'm also going to be adding some salt and pepper in this recipe, but it's going to be very, very basic. You could add some basil in there if you want. Whatever you want to do, you can mix and add, take away, however you want to. But this is important. Gives a lot of flavor. Okay, so while the onions and garlic are starting to, you know, come together in a lot of flavor, I'm going to continue to core out tomatoes and just put them in the Vitamix and mix it up, baby. Okay, so I think I've turned this off. I'm just going to let these sit for a little bit. They've browned a little bit. You see some turning translucent. I've added some salt and pepper, a little bit of oil just to help marry these flavors together because that's what I want, and this will be great in the soup. Okay, so I have about, I don't know, 2 to 3 quarts or so of the crushed up tomatoes. You can use canned tomatoes, big cans of crushed tomatoes. You don't have to do your own. I'm just trying to use what I've got. I'm also boiling water back behind because I'm going to peel potatoes. We're going to peel some of our potatoes. And I'm going to peel them, chop them up into small quarters or small little bits, and then I'm going to blanch them for about 10 minutes to pull the starch off. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am, girl. Right here, Food Line, Walmart, wherever you want to be. We're going to be adding these vegetables, frozen vegetables. Ain't no shame up in this game, girl. It's all about packing that pantry, okay? So this is going to be the base. I'm also going to add in some water, several cups. I'm kind of just going with the feels of it. but it's gonna be good. Let's go. Okay, so I've got my tomato base, and I've added water just to help rinse the Vitamix with the rest of the juice. You can see the onions and garlic are in there, and I've added a couple of cups. We're just gonna see how it flows and see if we need to add more, we will. So because I know you're gonna ask, that is a 32-ounce bag of frozen vegetables. You can do more, you can do less, you can do a different mix, that's up to you. It does not have the potatoes, so that's why I'm adding in the potatoes, but this is what it's looking like. I started just by pouring in half, wasn't near what I wanted, so I just went for it, and you can see the consistency here is looking really, really, really good, so I'm gonna leave it alone for now and work on the potatoes. Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Let's call the whole thing off. Well, this might be enough potatoes. It might not. We're going to see. Like I said, the good thing about something like this is you're making it as you go, so you can add more as you go or whatever. So I'm going to blanch them, honey. Some people only do it for 2 or 3 minutes. I might do it just a hair longer to pull the starch off, and then we'll take them out. Not a full cook situation. Just want to get them rocking and rolling, okay, and pull that starch off, and then we're going to add them to the soup. It smells good. Easy, girl. Ooh, girlfriend. All right. Okay, I decided to add 2 more potatoes because it's like this. Would you like some vegetables with your potatoes? I love potatoes. The best part in vegetable soup, if you ask me, so that's what we're gonna go with. I thought some celery sounded awful good too while we had this rocking and rolling, so I just took 1 stalk, split it in half, and cut it. Ploop. Okay, so what I've done is I've started cleaning up. There goes the dishwasher. I'm getting my quarts ready to wash. I'm washing the rings and the quarts. I'm gonna let the soup just kind of slow simmer on a very low heat. You want it to get warm and you want everything to marry together. I'm about to put the potatoes in. So I'm gonna look at it once I do that, assess, do I need to add more water, whatever, maybe some more salt and pepper. You know, some people don't add any of that in terms of salt and pepper or seasonings or anything like that until after, when they actually after they can it and they use it and they consume it, okay? Now, something good to think about, though, is, you know, as you're making a soup like this, I like to make soups like this when we eat them. I like to put a little pasta in it. Love a handful of pasta. But you don't want to do that during canning. It's just going to turn to mush, okay? Don't do that. So what you'll do is you'll can this, put it away, and say in January when you take it out and you heat it up, then you would add your pasta, okay? All right, so we're almost at the end stage of making the soup. We've got to let the jars get nice and clean. We're gonna get everything prepped for the canning phase. We're ready to roll. Okay, so we are a good little bit later. Jars are hot and processed, and I've turned them upside down to make sure that, you know, we've drained all the water off. We're gonna put the funnel on. We're gonna transfer the soup into the quart jars. We might get 5, we might get 7. We're gonna find out what we do here. If there's any extra, I'm just gonna put it in the fridge and we'll heat it up for soup tomorrow or whatever we'll do with that. Then we're gonna process it in the pressure canner. You will be doing this under pressure because, again, you have vegetables in there that are not high in their acidity, so you have to pressure can it. The quarts are 75 minutes. And by the way, I didn't mention this in my last video, and I apologize for that. When you get going, honey, you get going. When you put the lid on to your canner, your pressure canner, and you get it set, and you get it going, and you get it rocking and rolling, and this starts to vent right here, you want that to vent out for about 10 minutes before you come and you put your weight on, okay? So I'm gonna put 10 pounds of pressure on this because I'm less than 1,000 feet in terms of elevation. So anytime you are canning or doing anything like this, regardless of the videos that you watch or the blogger that you take your recipe from or whatever you do, always make sure that you think things through as you go, because sometimes we forget things or we forget to mention things. But the reason I'm saying that is because you also need to refer to your manuals, okay? All right, so they make sure you know what you're doing. Your pressure canner may not be exactly like mine to begin with. So even though I'm giving you some loose instructions on how to do something and giving you an overall baseline, girlfriend, boyfriend, you got to do your due diligence too. Now let's get this soup in the canner because you know what? I'm making chili next. Okay, let's see how we're looking here. So clearly it processed, and then I turned the eye off. You can still see it rocking and rolling inside the jar, so it's still very hot. But we did take the gauge off. It released all the pressure. It's been sitting off the temperature, sitting here for a good hour. So now we've taken the lid off. I'm gonna let it continue to cool, and then we'll take it out and put it on the shelf, like Elf on the Shelf, y'all. So it's as simple as that. I'm gonna go ahead and conclude the video because it's time for me to go milk Mama Lovey. So what we will do is just take them out, put them on the countertop, make sure you got something down, something, a dish towel or whatever, and just let them sit, make sure they sealed, let them sit at least 12 up to 24 hours. Check the seals. If everything looks good, then you can, wash them off real quick, take the rings off, I always tell you, and then mark the date and put them in the pantry. If you have one, but in a couple of hours that you feel is not sealed or isn't going to seal, you can go ahead, I go ahead and just put it in the refrigerator, and that's going to be a meal. That was something that the Lord wanted us to do now, not in January. So don't sweat the small stuff. We appreciate you watching. Hope you learned something. Stay busy, and we'll see you on the next video.